6-year stretch in program history as we take a look at the Lobos lineup, Steve.
Well, they start up front with Chad Adams, the senior, and also Alex Kirk, who was just named Mountain West Player of the Week. And you got Tony Snell and the leading scorer, Williams, and Hugh Greenwood in the backcourt for St. Louis. And they line up with a big guy, Lowe, Remican, and leading scorer, Dwayne Evans. In the backcourt, you have Mike McCall Jr., who's been playing well, and Kwame Mitchell, who came back from a broken foot last Friday and playing his second game.
Jim Cruz is the interim head coach at St. Louis. He was an assistant under Rick Majerus, who passed away a month ago. And now he's got the interim tag and trying to get this team back to the tournament for the second straight year. Time now for the opening tip, brought to you by Bud Light. Here we go. And the opening possession of the Lobos of New Mexico.
Both of those teams will play solid man-to-man.
Knocked away by Dwayne Evans, the junior, Bolingbrook, Illinois. You talked about leading scorer, leading rebounder. He might be your favorite player on the floor tonight.
Brent, what I love about this kid is that he came in as a post player all through high school. He's learned to play the three, led this team in rebounding the first 3 years, and now as a junior, he's a leading scorer on a team that's a solid contender to make the NCAA tournament this year.
12 to shoot, opening possession, Lobos, mid-range jumper. Not there from Chad Adams, one and done for New Mexico. Here comes Mike McCall Jr., 12 points, 3.6 assists per game. And now Kwame Mitchell, one of the top players in the A-10, straight to the rim, spins off and cleared by Alex Kirk. Nothing, a minute deep from St. Louis on New Year's Eve. 20th ranked Lobos of New Mexico on the road. They just knocked off number 8 Cincinnati on Thursday night. Williams in trouble. Here's Adams with 8 on the shot clock. Tony Snell now with 4 to shoot. Snell defended by Mitchell. Launches. Nothing. What a defensive effort. How about your keys to the game here tonight, Steve?
Exactly. New Mexico is going to do to St. Louis what St. Louis just did to New Mexico. Close down the lane, nothing inside. St. Louis has to get the ball inside and establish the game down low to Lowe and Remican. And you're right, that was a solid defensive performance that last 40 seconds by the St. Louis Billikens.
That's Hugh Greenwood, a sophomore from Australia. 8 points a game, one of their top defenders. This is Kwame Mitchell. Had a foot injury, missed the first 11 games. Saw his first action last time out. Played 19 minutes, 4 points, 5 assists. He's got the ball here with 10 on the shot clock. Here's McCall, takes the high screen. Evans with 3 to shoot. Slicing in, drops it down, out of bounds to New Mexico, and still scoreless 2 minutes in.
Very good defense by New Mexico. Kirk, 53, is in the lane at 7 foot. Really clogs it up. He's a very good help defender, making sure there's no dribble penetration to the basket. Back-to-back defensive plays for both of these teams.
Snell gets blocked by Evans. He does everything.
And you'll see St. Louis, when the ball gets on the wing, they'll go over and trap, but inside, you got to be happy with having a guy like Evans, who's such a strong defender in the paint.
Kind of an unorthodox player, so get some favorable matchups. Rotate Greenwood, elevates on a 3. Left it short, cleared by the Billikens. It's Mitchell. Mitchell races up. Not there. One and done as Adams brings it down.
A great box out by Adams, keeping Remican off the boards. It's going to be another key, making sure they can win the battle of the boards, as you see Williams spotting up for the 3 ball.
Kendall Williams, 36% from beyond the arc. First bucket of the game, 3-0 New Mexico. McCall trying to turn the corner. Here's Rob Lowe. Really struggling with his confidence right now. Good face-up big man. Mitchell slices and kicks. Low on a 3. And rattles out. McCall in rhythm. Got it.
It's so important for St. Louis to hit their outside jump shots. Lowe was out there by himself. Kirk didn't even come out and guard him. He was not able to make that shot, but McCall able to spot up and hit the three.
Near steal by McCall, and he commits the foul. First foul of the game on St. Louis, and quickly off the bench for the Billikens is Cody Ellis, the senior from Australia.
Jordair Jett coming in for Mitchell, and Jordair Jett played wonderfully for the first 11 games with McCall. Really did a super job. And if they have a smaller lineup, you will see all three, McCall, Jett, and Mitchell at the game at the same time.
Guarded three, way short from Williams. Out of bounds, it's St. Louis basketball. Tied at 3, early moments here at Chaifetz Arena.
There you see Jordair Jett. I mean, he is so quick. Yes, he did get his name because his mom liked Air Jordan. And he is jet quick.
Fires it in. And the finish inside for Evans.
That was a beautiful pass. Jett was able to quickly spin that ball inside without a dribble, getting the ball into Evans.
Jett just over 4 assists a game. And we'll go the other way. That's offensive on New Mexico. Gets us to the under 16. Good defense at both ends, as advertised on New Year's Eve in St. Louis.
Back at the Chaifetz Center, St. Louis up 5-3, and we talked, Brent, early on about how the defense is going to play a key role, and you'll see right here the big guy, Kirk, rolling through. Watch him control the middle. There is no penetration. The ball's going to come around here. Okay, roll it. And you're going to see the dribble drive by Evans and the pick and roll with Lowe. Here's the pick and roll. Stop. Right there. You see the Lowe's coming back here, but you'll see over there Kirk laying it in. Knocking down that ball. No penetration by the Billikens against New Mexico.
Kirk had the game-winning block in the win over Cincinnati Thursday. Lowe on a 3. You bet. That's the need from Lowe.
They need to stretch that defense in New Mexico so they can get the ball inside. St. Louis now on an 8-0 run.
Poked away by Evans. 2 players on the deck. And it's St. Louis ball, and Evans defense setting the tone in the early 5 minutes.
To see anticipation by Evans. No ball fake by Greenwood. Evans getting on the floor. Ties up Walker.
It's an 8-0 St. Louis run in the last minute and a half, and they lead 8-3. They've won 6 games in a row, but this is one of those games that you use as a measuring stick, because up until now, the last 6, the competition hasn't been there.
You know, talking to Jim Cruz today, I think that he realizes, as you see Steve Alford, Jim Cruz took this position as head coach, as a favor to, or assistant coach, as a favor to Rick Majerus. So he's out here having fun and enjoying it. Loves how hard these guys work.
That was inside. It spins off, but he's at the line.
Yeah, so Rick Majerus, last year, Alex Jensen decided to leave to go to the developmental league in the NBA, and so Rick Majerus said, I need some help. He's friends with Bobby Knight. He calls Jim Cruz and says, hey, will you come and help me out? Jim Cruz is coaching 6th grade girl basketball. And he said, yeah, I'll come out and help you out for a year or 2 just to get you going. So he doesn't even worry about that interim tag, as you and I saw today, Brent.
Well, he's had 5 different positions in life over the last 5 years, and they haven't all been coaching basketball. He did some TV work. He had 1 year off in there as well. He's loving life right now. Says his son, who's a minister in New York, really kind of helps him put things in perspective.
That's interesting. He's not as fire as he was when he was at Evansville.
Offensive on Alex Kirk, the 7-foot redshirt sophomore. Coming off of a 15-point, 7-rebound, 3-block game against Cincy.
Well, Lotus couldn't get out of the way. I mean, he took a great offensive foul, but Kirk just kept backing in and backing in. Kirk, who had back surgery, is really playing well right now, but will not play any minutes with those fouls in the first half.
So
sit him down.
Yeah, he gets a seat here with his team down 7. It's Jett and Mitchell in the backcourt right now for St. Louis. Jake Barnett off the bench.
Barnett and Mitchell was down, got a lot of playing time, still in the rotation.
Lowe attacks and scores.
That's just what the doctor ordered. Rob Lowe has been practicing New Zealand all summer long, being inside. And it's a nice take to the basket. It's so important for him to get it going early down low because he's such a good outside shooter. It brings that defense so far away from the basket, so that's a good sign for the Billikens.
Airball's the free throw. St. Louis by 9. In off the bench is Nick Banyard, a freshman from Texas. For New Mexico on a timeout here at 14-24. Steve Alford's team getting more than they wanted here off the top 10 upset over the Bearcats on Thursday.
You know, it's tough as a head coach to try to figure young kids out, but you know, you lose to South Dakota State, and then you come here, or come to Cincinnati, and you upset the team. They didn't even practice before that game. They upset Cincinnati, and now they come after Christmas to play on the road, and they just aren't ready to play right now. I mean, nobody's, this is a fiery team, but they don't have the energy they should have coming out of the gate.
We take a look at tonight's icy hot injury report on St. Louis's Kwame Mitchell. 13 points per game and 132 steals for Kwame Mitchell a season ago. And again, he missed the first 11 this year with a foot injury. Did get 19 minutes in against SIU Edwardsville a couple of nights ago, Friday night. But still trying to get his basketball legs back.
Mexico has to try to get something going to the basket.
Jumper goes down for Kendall Williams, his second bucket.
But Kendall Williams is a guy that will pull them out, but they need to get, they got Walker in the game. Hugh Greenwood's got to, start picking up the pace offensively now that Kirk's out of the game.
Jett took the extra step.
This is a New Mexico team that really fights. I mean, last year they won a lot of games. They won 20 games by 10 points or more. This year they've had to fight, and it's so important that they get off to a good start. But even though they go down, they still come out fighting, and they can win a game just by the defensive presence.
They were 28-7 last season, third round of the NCAA tournament. Banyard leads it off for the finish. How about Kendall Williams, his start? He's got all 7.
That was a great pass by Banyard. Seeing Kendall Williams cut to the basket. That's good movement without the basketball by Williams.
4 unanswered for the Lobos. Barnett kicks. Here's Jett. Lowe had it knocked away. Mitchell off the mark. Here come the Lobos down 5. Mitchell the steal.
Got numbers.
Mitchell weaves in.
When you have a 3-on-2, you have to score. You shouldn't make an adventure. At that point in time, Barnett was on the right wing, wide open. Got to give up that basketball.
Here's Demetrius Walker against Barnett. Fall away. Back iron. And it's Billiken basketball. Low in rhythm. Not this time.
been struggling without outside jump shot, but he's got to continue taking it because his game, and the knock on him is he doesn't go inside at 6'10".
Walker with a wild shot there, cleared by Ellis.
Rowe needs to take that jump shot.
Mitchell darts through, offensive. .11:37 to go in first half. Good start for Kendall Williams.
Leading scorer, takes it up, 5-point game, St. Louis. Well, Happy New Year. St. Louis up 12-7, but it's been a defensive game, but offensively, you'll see right here, there's good ball movement. Go ahead and roll that. Good ball movement by St. Louis, but stop it right here. Jordair Jet needs to come in this area right here and step up for the shot after the quick pass from Kwame Mitchell. Wide open right there. He's not ready to take the shot. Jordair Jet, Brent, shoots it at 36% behind the arc. You have to be able to step in and make the defense play you.
The Billikens go through their inconsistencies on offense. Jet, 9 points a game. Defensively, giving up just 43 points a game in the last 3, and just an average of 55 points per on the season.
Well, both of these teams play really good defense, but doesn't mean you can't get good shots. You have to execute. You have to get the ball in the perimeter.
Stolen away by McCall. And Williams knocked it away from him. Foul going to be on the Lobos. I think they got Williams there.
You got to make sure you ball fake against this St. Louis defense. You cannot just sit there and throw it back out from the wing to the perimeter because McCall, Jordair Jet, and Evans are great defensive players.
Emphatic inside. Corey Remican. 14-7. Walker spins. Another wild shot ripped down by Ellis.
St. Louis has given no easy shots to the Lobos.
McCall the deck, and it's a bailout foul on the Lobos.
Demetrius Walker took the ball in the lane, and you'll see, as you see McCall on the other end, this gets tripped up. Really a cheap foul, but they're going to call it every time.
Banyard picks it up, his first. Team foul number 6 on the Lobos. Remican wheels, scores.
Tell you what, Remican looked really smooth on that move. Bairstow was staying right with him, but Remican went up and over, using the left shoulder to protect himself, scoring with a little baby hook.
Tough shot, Williams won't go. Mitchell brings it up, 9-point St. Louis advantage. Spins out. Evans back up. Knocked down by Cameron Bairstow. A silencer for the moment.
Bairstow, nice little jump shot from about 10 feet. But I'll tell you what, Mike McCall Jr. is all over Kendall Williams. He can't get the ball. See if St. Louis can answer getting the ball inside. I like the fact they got the ball into Remican.
Seven to shoot. Face up, drop down. Evans had a shot swatted.
That was good help by Banyard. Did a great job, help defense.
Jamal Fenton turned it over. Again, Evans in the passing lane.
You can't get in there and figure out what you're doing once you're in there. Go in there with a purpose. Let's see if St. Louis goes back into Remican again. He's done a nice job taking care of the basketball on a low block.
Ellis misses on the 3, weak side board for the Lobos. They trail by 9. Demetrius Walker rattles out, tip try no, and a foul on the Billikens on Cody Ellis. Nine-point edge for St. Louis. Is this about what you expected of this first half?
Yeah, I knew there'd be some great defense played. I'm a little surprised at some of the passes made by New Mexico. They got to do a better job on the perimeter. They've given St. Louis a couple easy turnover baskets. As you see, the wholesale substitutions. Kirk now going to be back in the game for New Mexico Lobos. But yes, I think you're going to. It's far from over. This is a New Mexico team that will find a way to execute offensively, but so far they have been really anemic getting the ball and being efficient in the half court.
Banyard makes it 18-10 as Kirk checks in. Banyard, the freshman, to the bench. 8:22 first half here on New Year's Eve in St. Louis. Mountain West against the A-10. 20th ranked New Mexico. McCall on a 3. Crawls off and a foul on the rebound.
Not a smart foul by Lowe. That was good dribble drive to get McCall the open jump shot. St. Louis does a very good job of getting in the paint and kicking it out. So far, the 3 ball's not going really well for either team. St. Louis with 2 of 9. Lobos 1 of 4 from behind the arc.
New Mexico, you mentioned, 7 turnovers now. 3 for the Billikens.
You got to get the ball into Kirk. You got to make him a focal point of this offense. You got to take a dribble down to get a better feed on that to Kirk.
Kirk baseline travel. The defense has been emphatic in this first half for the Billikens. But the Lobos making it not so easy at their end either as Walker goes up strong to pin it. First half here in St. Louis.
Let's go!
Billikens by 8. New Mexico 31% from the field and 8 turnovers.
You know, offensive, what you got to do, you see Kirk down here, and you got Walker over here, Snell over there. You got to get the ball down in the corner. And watch it right here. You got to bring it down here, dribble down here, and then make the pass inside of Kirk. Go ahead and roll that. You can't make it from there. There's just no way. The defensive plays top side. That's the job, pushing it out. So you got to have a dribble down to the baseline and make the nice entrance pass. But you have to get Kirk in the game.
He scored 15 in the win over Cincinnati. He averages 11, and he is yet to take a shot here in this first half.
It's hard to take a shot when you're 7 foot, when you don't get the ball in a position to score. You're not going to be like a Rob Lowe or even a Bairstow that's going to hit that jump shot. Other guys have to make you better, but you have to move to get the ball.
New Mexico shoots a ton of free throws as well. They shoot 75% at the line. They've only gone there 2 times so far. Drop down, pretty look, and the finish for Remican.
I'm impressed with Remican. Really was not an offensive force last year, and now he's doing a really nice job. When he gets the ball, he's finishing this evening.
7 to play first half. Snell. Short. Tap in good. There you go. Kurt goes and gets one.
Well, he had a tip dunk the other night against the Cincinnati Bearcats and an and one. He came from the foul line. He's athletic, but he's still recovering from that back surgery he had last year. But I think that now he is a guy that has to be the focal point of their offense. You got to touch the ball every time down court. Got to look for him.
Can't be overlooked. He's still trying to get into game shape after missing all of last season.
Well, a back is not like an ankle. Let's put it that way.
They got to get Snell going, too. And a travel on Tony Snell, who's been inconsistent this year. Averages 11.5, but they need it night in, night out. As Cleveland Thomas, a freshman from Baton Rouge, checks in for the first time.
Well, this Lobo team is very good when they get dribble penetration, but they don't get it because St. Louis right now is keeping everything in front of them, making sure there's no drives to the basket.
Jordan Chat strong. Largest lead for the Billikens at 10. Poked away by McCall. Straight to the rim.
I can't say it enough. If you just focus on Mike McCall Jr., he is playing some unbelievable on-the-ball defense and also face guarding Williams when he doesn't have the ball.
Backcourt violation. Turnover number 11 on New Mexico.
Watch McCall over there, just all over Williams. That's unbelievable defense. And then the next time down, he did the same thing. They trapped in the lane. And New Mexico had to throw the ball away.
We know how good the A-10 is this season. I wonder how much of a factor St. Louis could be as possibly a dark horse to make some noise.
I think they're going to be right in the thick of things. They lost Conklin, they lost Cassidy from last year's team, but this still is a team that's got a lot of fight. They have 3 really, really super guards.
4 turnovers on the last 5 possessions for the Lobos. And that's offensive. That's 5 of 6 now.
And you got to look at New Mexico. They are really struggling with how to execute against Jim Cruz's defense. Billikens playing solid half court.
Steve Alford, 6 seasons at New Mexico, 139 wins. Chat fires it in, and the score for Remican. Timeout, New Mexico. (26-12). Both of these coaches, strong ties to the Indiana Hoosier program, certainly.
They really do, and that was a 76 team. Just read a book on them, The Perfect Season. Jimmy Cruz, 45, and Bobby Wilkers on the left of him. There's a player of the year that year with Scott May, and then you look at Steve Alford. Little Steve Alford, you knew he was going to Indiana. And that was a team that had Scott Isle and had, what else did they have on that team? They had Todd. Can't remember all those guys from 87.
They had a lot of stars. We can say that. Those 2 national titles 11 years apart. But he was part of that 76 team, as we just showed you. Last unbeaten team. You asked him at shoot-around, does he ever keep a close eye on that last team to lose their first game? And he said not really. But he also said Duke this year, they've got the makings of a team that could perhaps do that.
I just think it's just so hard because there's so much national exposure. Everybody knows what everybody's doing. And I also brought up to him that in that, when they won it in 74 or 75, they had a lot of close games. And I didn't realize that going back. The year before that, they were undefeated and lost to Kentucky in the NCAA tournament. But Jim Cruz was on one of the best teams ever.
13-4 in the turnover department, and 17 points off those turnovers for the Billikens. Little give and go. Remican got blocked by Kirk. Kirk with his 20th block of the season. New Mexico with the ball, down 14. Just over 4 to play here in the first half on New Year's Eve from St. Louis. And a timeout for the Billikens. 32nd, good effort. 3:56 here in the opening 20. And St. Louis leads 26-12. New Mexico 5 of 15 from the field. and now 14 turnovers after that one a moment ago.
The other thing that you have to look at too, Brent, is that St. Louis is just dominating. We've talked in the keys to the game. Who's going to get the ball inside? Talked about St. Louis making sure they can get a good inside game going. They have 18 points in the paint to New Mexico's 4, and that has really been the difference, along with those 14 turnovers.
Coach Alford, they came in 13-1. The only loss, as you alluded to, home to South Dakota State. Fell out of the rankings after being there for 4 weeks. And right back in at number 20 in the latest poll that came out today. He's Indiana's second all-time leading scorer behind Calvert Cheney. Number 1 in three-point percentage and steals at the school.
You know, right now, if you're New Mexico, you got to sit there for the next 4 minutes and try to see if you can cut this lead to 10. You know, at least get some momentum going into halftime. This is not a good effort on either end of the court for New Mexico. They've missed assignments defensively, and they have done nothing offensively.
Ellis throws a 3.
The last thing you want to do is, when you're a ranked team, is give the home team momentum and feel like they can play with you. And right now, St. Louis looks like the team that should be ranked.
Their largest lead at 17. Kirk swatted. Offensive foul before the block.
And that's a big development. That gives Kirk 2 fouls, but another turnover for the Lobos.
Alex Kirk trying to get involved, but it's all Billiken defense first half. New Year's Eve here in St. Louis, coming up AT&T at the half. A closer look at St. Louis. Interim head coach Jim Cruz. Stories and scores from Weekend Hoops. First half stats and analysis from here inside Chaffetz Arena. Happy holidays, my friend. Any New Year's resolutions for you coming up?
Let's watch a little bit more basketball than they did last year.
I'm sure your wife and kids will appreciate that.
Yeah, there's nothing better. I think right now, when you watch this game, you're sitting at home, you wonder where New Mexico is. They have not shown up, and right now, Steve Alford has decided to go full court pressure, see if he can get his team a little bit more motivated.
Billikens shot around today. New Mexico, late last night, canceled theirs. You wonder if there's an effect at all with that. They fall back into the zone here. Dunk inside, low.
I tell you, that Jordair Jet is just doing a sensational job of pinpoint passing against the Lobos. Mitchell and Jet, between them, have 8 assists. Jet with 5 of those.
And Rob Lowe now with 7 points. Billikens 9 of their last 15 from the field after starting 4 of 10. Floating through is Thomas, and a foul on St. Louis. As we go back to the last one.
Jordair Jet does a very good job of locating players. He's already looking right now to get the ball back, and he sees that nobody's behind the defense. That's his bad defense. Bairstow late to the game in that zone. But great pass by Jordair Jet.
First one rattles in for Cleveland Thomas, a freshman from Baton Rouge. Remican back in along with Mike McCall Jr. for the Bills as Jet gets a seat.
And watching the St. Louis team as opposed to last year, their defense actually looks better. And I say that because they are just swarming. I don't know if it's because they're playing a rated team, but they are moving their feet on defense.
Lowe misses on a 3, pulled down by Williams. Lowe came in only 26% from downtown. He's hit 1 so far tonight. Williams hangs, misses. And Lowe corrals it.
Every time New Mexico drives, somebody's stepping up to take the charge. That time it was Lowe. It's been Ellis.
Evans exploded baseline. Remican back up.
How about Remican being the leading scorer in the game with 10 points? I mean, this is a guy that doesn't even average double digits in points, but he is a recipient of some excellent passes.
Bairstow trying to drive on Lowe, and Lowe picks it up.
You see Remican, I mean, this is a kid that really needs to play. They need an inside game because Ellis and Lowe are not inside players as such, but he has brought it today. And St. Louis has 22 points in the paint to New Mexico's 4.
That foul on Lowe, his second. Barnett back in for the Bills. Minute 19, first half. It's a 20-point St. Louis advantage, their largest.
Look at how St. Louis is overplaying. They're overplaying the passing lanes.
Thomas, in and out, follow try, not good from Panyard.
If I would have told you St. Louis had a 20-point lead and Kwame Mitchell had yet to score.
Barnett spins out, rebounded by Bairstow. I would have told you were crazy. Williams got in trouble on the baseline, out of bounds, and back to St. Louis. New Mexico's last field goal was at 6:57.
I think right now the shot clock's off. If I'm St. Louis, I do what they've done best this whole first half, is move the ball around and get the ball inside to Remican. You got Evans and Remican roaming the inside. See if you can get the last shot. The worst case scenario should be a 20-point lead for St. Louis.
Crowd rises here inside Chaifetz Arena. Final 15 seconds. Mitchell floats, blocked by Bairstow. Corner three, Barnett blocks. Down to 1 second. Williams off the mark. Halftime arrives in St. Louis. Jim Crew's team 33-13, looking for the upset over number 20 New Mexico. They just haven't gotten to take a lot of shots.
No, they really haven't. That this area right here, points off turnovers is critical. I mean, that's unbelievable. I don't think I've seen a game like that with two good teams with the disparity so much, 22-2.
16 New Mexico turnovers. And you wonder, Steve, what Steve Alford told his guys in the locker room. They just beat number 8 Cincinnati. You gotta come back from that one and make it 2 good ones in a row.
I'll tell you, and here's the situation. Steve Alford realizes that conference play's coming up. They don't play Las Vegas until the 9th of January, so they have a layoff. They also have a day tomorrow where they're allowed to sleep in. And I found that out from sources. If I'm Steve Alford, I say, listen, you guys know what? We will not take a day off practice if you guys don't show some intensity and being smart. This is a well-coached team. They're just not playing like a well-coached team.
Alex Kirk drills a 3. There's a good start. 8 seconds into the second half, he buries one.
Well, Kirk has to get involved in the game, and that's going to make Rob Lowe come out and defend him. He had one against UC, which is very pivotal in their upset win last week, to relax that defense. You got to make sure you're able to get Kirk involved as the big man involved in the game.
And that's a foul on Greenwood. Get a look there at Kirk. 11.7 rebounds a game. 20 blocks for the year.
You know something else, Brent, looking at that first half, New Mexico is a team that averages 20 made free throws a game, and they were 2 for 4 in the first half. That really lends itself to aggressiveness getting the ball in the paint.
They shoot 75% at the line. Kirk inside, lost it. Out of bounds, St. Louis basketball. Now, St. Louis shoots 73% at the line. It's a couple of teams that, again, well documented. They lock you up on defense, but they make their living at the line as well.
Well, that last time down, that's the second time down court for New Mexico, both times getting the ball in the hands of Kirk. Kirk's got to go up strong with that. That was a nice pass. He put in an easy bucket.
On the block, Evans, turnaround, and halfway down and out, here comes Greenwood. Straight to the rim. And one for Hugh Greenwood.
I know it's a cliche, but you always look at the first 5 minutes in the game, and right now it looks like New Mexico's being the aggressor. It's a good take off of the pick and roll. Kirk did not roll. He picked and popped that time. He did not go to the basket, so it cleared that lane open a little bit.
Tracked down by Williams. Good tap out. Pull up 17-footer way off from Adams. Stick back no, and ripped down by Evans. 33-18. The Lobos have scored the opening 5 of the second half. Here's Mitchell. He's scoreless. 0 of 6 from the field. McCall, acrobatic lay-in.
Wow, that was a beautiful move. Great body control by Mike McCall Jr.
$17-point Billiken edge. Williams through traffic. Williams, yeah, spinning, tough shot, no, pulled down by Evans.
Jim Cruz has done a great job of rotating people on Williams. He's had McCall on him, he's had Mitchell, and he's had Jet. 3 great defenders. As St. Louis turns it over.
Down the lane, Snell got fouled. Tony Snell, the junior from Riverside, California. Got to get him going offensively.
This is a nice drive. He avoids, McCall Jr. avoids body contact by just jumping out of the way. That's great ball control, using the opposite hand.
Call from Chicago. 16 points last time out. He's led the team in scoring each of the last 3. First point of the night for Tony Snell, who came in averaging 11.5.
What I like that New Mexico's doing is they're going back to their game plan. You know, if at first you don't succeed, you have a couple offensive fouls called on you because you're driving, then you stop driving. You got to continue doing that. That is their game, and now they're being more aggressive here in the second half.
Pressure D pays off. Williams rifles it in. Kirk, you bet.
Well, their defense turns up their offense, and you see Williams coming down after the steal by Greenwood. Williams sets up like he's going to shoot it. He waits for the trailer, and you'll see the big guy just lumbering down. I don't know if he got off his feet, but it shows you the athleticism to be able to catch that and lay it up as quick as Kirk did.
Third foul on Ellis. You see that number on Williams. 350 assists now. Only 7 players in program history have done that with 1,000 points.
Now St. Louis has done exactly what you don't want to do coming out, giving a little bit of breathing room, a little bit of hope to the Lobos. Now within striking distance, only down by 12.
The importance of the opening 5 minutes of the second half. It's a 10-2 run out of the locker room for the Lobos.
St. Louis has to look inside. They got to get Remican going because you know that Kirk's got 2 fouls. Make him play some defense.
Jordair Jet rattles out.
And that's 3, I think. That's going to be on Kirk. I think they're going to call Kirk with a reach.
If it is, it's number 3. You know, it's on Kirk, and that's a problem.
The best thing about missing your shot is you know exactly where it's going to go. We'll see. Kirk knew where it was going to go. Came right back down to him. Nobody boxed him out.
He stays in the game here. McCall sets it up for the Bills, leading by a dozen. Ellis, guarded shot, no.
You know, that's not a good shot, but now Bairstow comes in for Kirk, and that's a big change and help for St. Louis because Kirk has come out the second half and started to play the way he's capable of playing.
Crowd trying to get this Billiken defense revved up again.
He walked.
Travel on Greenwood.
Change pivot feet.
18th New Mexico turnover.
Even though St. Louis still has a 12-point lead, they have not established themselves in the offensive end of the court yet. They need to try to get some efficiency in the half court.
Ellis got it.
That's efficient enough.
Should work. Lead back to 15. Williams leaves it off, and Adams the finish.
Once again, New Mexico getting in the lane, and that is the key for them. They were not in the lane at all that first half. They only had 4 points in the paint the whole first half, and Brent, so far with less than 5 minutes played, they already have 6 points in the paint.
McCall, wild pass. Lobo basketball when we come back. 38-25, Ellis with a big hit moments ago for the Bills.
You talk about efficiency. Ellis with his 8th point in the game.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by Acura. Acura Advance. And by Icy Hot, America's #1 topical pain reliever.
Well, New Mexico scored 13 the entire first half. They've got 12 already in the opening 4:46 of the second half, and they trail by 13.
And I'll tell you, this is a fighting team. We knew going in, we even said here this afternoon, this is going to be an ugly game. St. Louis has played pretty in the first half, but New Mexico will turn it into an ugly game, and they're starting to pick up that defensive pressure. St. Louis needs to respond.
Steve Alford's team 13-1 coming in. The backcourt of Greenwood and Williams has been shut down for the most part here tonight. Pass deflected off, picked up by Snell, dropped in for Bairstow.
Another basket in the paint. Good dribble drive by Williams and a pickup by Bairstow. Cuts it to 11. St. Louis really needs to try to get Lowe and Ellis in the game. Get something going to the basket.
Here comes Jet off the mark. New Mexico basketball.
Everything was perimeter on that possession. Barely inside the three-point line. And the only time in that possession they were inside the three-point line was a dribble and pull-up jump shot by Jordair Jet.
Remican checks back in. Ellis to the bench. He's got 3 fouls. Barnett back onto the floor for the Billikens as well.
See if Williams continues to get the ball inside the paint by the dribble. He's doing a super job of dribble drive.
Another New Mexico turnover. Snell couldn't handle. Only 2 points for Tony Snell. That about says it.
It's not an easy way to start 2013.
And again, you mentioned they don't play again until January 9th. It's the conference opener against UNLV. Mitchell, short. 19 New Mexico turnovers, 6 for St. Louis.
You know, but St. Louis is giving New Mexico a chance, shooting perimeter shots. Now with Remick in the game, you have to go down low, because you don't want to give this New Mexico team a chance to stay in this game.
How many times tonight have I said tough shot at New Mexico's end?
Absolutely. It's great extension on the defensive end. Right now, you got to get the ball into Remick. He's the leading scorer in the game. You got to ride the, what did Al McGuire said? Dance with the girl who brung you. And that right now is Remick with 10 points.
Floater won't go for Jet, pulled down by New Mexico. Williams explodes inside.
Wow, that's just a super drive by Williams. He's not going away. And this is a team that you hear the crowd getting into it now for St. Louis. They're rated 20th in the country for a reason. They've got 13 wins, and they've played some high caliber competition.
Near steal, and it is for the Lobos. 3-on-2. Tony Snell.
That's good defense in transition by St. Louis. After the turnover, turnovers now become a little bit more prevalent for St. Louis.
St. Louis has been outscored 16-5 here in the second half. Low, lobs, Remick in the finish.
That's where you have to go, especially that's what worked in the first half. Nobody's been able to stop Remick. You know, you can't worry about what he's done in the first, 11 games. But if you look inside and throw it over top of the defense, there's no way that they can stop that. Chad Adams is undersized compared to Remick.
That's 3 personals on Adams. 13 points for Remick. He averages 6.2. Kirk back in. He's got 3 fouls.
I think you have to get Kirk back in with 12 minutes, even though he has 3 fouls, because nobody is defending Remick. And now that I think that the guards realize that he's the go-to guy, you need to defend him.
Williams draws the whistle. And Rob Lowe picks up his 4th.
Talked about New Mexico getting the free throw line. Only got to the free throw line 4 times in the first half, but now they're on their way to getting the bonus early. They need to be able to get to the free throw line. That's where they get 30% of their points.
So Lowe went to the bench with 4. Ellis came back on. He's got 3. Williams, tough shot goes down.
Kendall Williams putting his team on his back, not only doing it with the pass, but the dribble drive and getting in the lane. Now see if St. Louis has the answer. Got the ball into Remick last time.
And that's a foul on Greenwood. Gets us to the under 12. Kendall Williams, you said it, Steve, he wouldn't go away.
Kendall Williams, 11 points in the game and 4 assists. He's going to be Mountain West Player of the Week.
41-31. Kendall Williams with 11 points. New Mexico has struggled to score. They could use this young man. During the break, this shot was worth $1,100, Steve.
Nailed it.
Money.
Looked like Bob Pettit out there shooting a one-handed jump shot.
Literally money there. $1,100. Tonight's Geico difference makers. We talked about Williams get shut down in the first half, but he's come alive here in the second half.
He really has. He's done it by getting into the paint. He's also put St. Louis into the bonus. Corey Remick, boy, he's having a great game. And I think that he needs to be the focal point for St. Louis the second half.
6 of 7 from the field for Remick, the senior from Dallas, Texas. Williams on the other side. New Mexico shot 5 of 19 in the first half. They are 7 of 12 since the break. Out of the timeout, Billiken ball leading by 10. 39% shooting for the Lobos, 42% for St. Louis. And a push on the Lobos. And that foul against Greenwood, his third. And Greenwood checks out. Jamal Fenton back in for New Mexico. McCall trying to turn the corner. Side of the glass and a bailout foul.
Whether you get the ball inside by pass or whether you get it in by dribble, it's very important to get dribble penetration or get the ball inside against New Mexico, and that's exactly what Mike McCall Jr. was able to do right then on the last play, drawing the foul.
Foul on Williams, his second. Team foul number 6 on New Mexico. That's the gentleman that won the $1,100 with that shot at the last time out. He got it done just in the nick of time for tax purposes here.
Want to make sure you get all those taxes done before the fiscal cliff.
Happy New Year from St. Louis here on CBS Sports Network. Guarded 3, not there, rebounded by Mitchell.
Wow, that is absolutely not the shot you want. You get the lead down to 10 and throw up a long jump shot. You just turn, it's like a turnover.
Pretty shot off glass from Mitchell. 45-31.
That's Kwame Mitchell's first 2 points of the game. He's 1 of 8, really rusty from that, coming back from that broken foot.
Kirk off the mark. Pulled down by Mitchell. Mitchell drops it off. Billikens.
Well, this is a great drive by Mitchell, but an even a better pass. As you see Demetrius Walker coming over and having the foul. But that was a beautiful pass. And I think, Brandon, we talk about Kwame Mitchell being 1 for 8. I think his leadership on and off the court has made this team more confident. Now with him back playing, this team realizes that how much they missed when he was sitting on that bench with that injury.
The foul on Walker is second. Team foul number 7 on New Mexico. So free throws the rest of the way for the Billikens. Foul on McCall. His second. And that's the 5th on St. Louis.
St. Louis spent a lot of energy getting that lead down to 9. And then New Mexico spent a lot of energy getting that lead down to 9. And now St. Louis has had a burst, getting the ball in the paint. You wonder if New Mexico has enough left.
Ellis the steal. Mitchell the finish. Timeout. And a technical on Steve Alford.
He's got 2 and he's gone. I'll tell you what happened when you come back, but this was unbelievable. Alford's gone. He's kicked out of the game.
He popped up off the bench, called timeout, and then he was sent to the showers. Back-to-back quick technicals on the New Mexico head coach. So Alford won't be here for the finish. His team down 18 at a raucous Chaffetz Arena. It's an 8-0 Billiken run. They lead by 18, and Steve Alford's night is done on the Lobo bench.
Well, you see right here, Steve Alford, well, stop it back over there. Back it up a little bit. I'm going to show you what happened. From half court, you will see how far away Steve Alford right now is saying timeout. He says timeout. He said timeout. And then the referee finally puts his hand up and calls timeout. And then Steve Alford had something to say to him, and he kept on coming after him, and he said, "You're out of here, buddy." I don't think Steve's too upset missing what he's missing the last.
Now you can only hope. You can only hope that under Craig Neal, who takes over, they can come back from 18 down. They trailed by 20 at the break. They got it to single digits for moments. And now it's back to 49-31 St. Louis, and Neal will be the head man the rest of the way. And here come the technical free throws for Mike McCall.
Craig Neal played basketball at Georgia Tech, and nickname is Noodles. But he's going to be taking over. He's got an uphill battle right now.
I would certainly say so. In this loud environment here in St. Louis on New Year's Eve. Maybe a little bit more fired up than normal. These Billiken fans trying to get a top 20 upset over 20th ranked New Mexico. And McCall really pays off that technical if you're a St. Louis fan. The lead to 21 on the 3 made free throws for McCall.
It'll be New Mexico's ball. But, you know, with 10 minutes left, they have to make a play for it. Got to get the ball into Kirk's hands. I like what Williams is doing, but St. Louis responded. They did a great job of responding and meeting the challenge.
Kirk, a push on Remican. 52-31 St. Louis. Their largest lead of the game. Led by 20 at halftime. And the next New Mexico foul will put St. Louis into the double bonus. Foul on the floor on McCall.
This is an area that can help New Mexico, because now they're going to be able to score with the clock stopped. We've talked about 30% of the offense from New Mexico coming from the free throw line, and yet they only have 8 free throws attempted. So this is a big development for New Mexico.
Third foul on McCall. He'll go to the bench in favor of Jordan Jett. You talked off the top about the Billiken depth now, getting Mitchell back. Really, they only had Jordan Jett and Mike McCall.
They wouldn't have been able to employ the defense they have on Williams without Kwame Mitchell, because they've had 3 guys guarding him and really putting him to the test on the offensive end.
20-point lead for St. Louis. 9 to play in the game here on New Year's Eve. An Atlantic 10 Mountain West clash before we start 2013. And this one out of bounds. It'll stay with the Billikens.
St. Louis will be moving the ball around, looking for the best shot, but they don't have to rush and take a shot early in the shot clock. Run it down to around 12-14. Right now there's 10 on the shot clock.
Ellis, quick release. Williams has scored 11 on 5 of 10. Greenwood, corner. Rattles out.
One and done for New Mexico. And I would say this second half, Williams has had the ball in his hands probably 75% of the time. He's the only guy getting dribble penetration against St. Louis.
Mitchell. Tied up by Bairstow. It'll stay with St. Louis when we come back. All Billikens tonight, leading by 20 on New Year's Eve.
Colorado State with a couple of good players, Dorian Green and also Colton Iverson. Look at Craig Neal. We got 2 interim coaches coaching.
Neal taking over the reins for the final 11 minutes of this one. And Jim Cruz, it's open-ended. He's the interim head coach, at least for the moment. Rick Majerus passing away back on the 1st of December. Back to that Colorado State team, though. It's now Larry Eustace. They've won 5 in a row, trying to make it 6 on the back end of our doubleheader here on Wednesday night.
The Mountain West is loaded this year. Obviously, everybody's heard about Nevada. I'm sorry about UNLV. But New Mexico in the top 20. They may not stay very long, but there's a lot of good teams in Mountain West.
Bairstow inside, Kirk. And he's at the line. Foul on Evans. Four teams made the NCAA tournament out of the Mountain West a year ago, and a lot of teams playing really well to start this season.
How about Wyoming, undefeated?
New Mexico ranked 20th. San Diego State there ranked 19th. UNLV, one of the lead teams receiving votes right now.
Well, that's where New Mexico has to go on the 9th, so that'll be interesting. It's a great early season battle in conference play.
They won't play again. That's 9 days in between this one and the conference opener against UNLV. Have you seen Anthony Bennett play for UNLV yet, the freshman?
He was talking to Bruce Clark, our producer, and said maybe the freshman of the year. Heck, he may be the player of the year the way he's playing.
He is a load inside. Corner 3, McCall.
Even though that's a miss, it was good ball movement, run the shot clock down. And that's what St. Louis is looking to do right now. Not go into a prevent defense like in football, but make sure they get good opportunities to the basket without rushing.
Under 7 to play in the game. New Mexico down 18. Snell banks it in. And 5 points now for Tony Snell. St. Louis led by 20 at the break. They've led by as many as 22 here in the second half. It's at 16 right now. And all 16 of their 2-point field goals have come in the lane tonight. Ellis got it.
It seems like you're a lot more relaxed when you have a 20-point lead. Good ball movement. Ellis knocking down the 3. He's 3 of 5 from 3-point range and has 11.
Kirk attacks, blocks by Remican. Kirk a 3 and hits.
How about Kirk? Doesn't give up on a play. Gets it swatted by Remican, comes back out and gets the 3 ball now. New Mexico only down by 16, but time is going to be of the essence.
Near steal by Adams. It'll stay with the Bills. 15 to shoot. St. Louis with a win would get to 10-3. The most impressive win in the non-conference against Texas A&M. They lost to Michigan State. Lost to Wisconsin in the non-conference as well.
Kansas. But you know, Brent, when you look at this team, they were playing without their leader, Kwame Mitchell. And what it did, I think, was give Barnett more clock. Coming on off the bench now, but he got more clock. Jordy Jett became more comfortable, and now they're getting the meat of their schedule, and he's back to play with them. So I think it's got to give this team a lot of confidence.
Evans short. 55-39, 5 to play in the game.
Big possession for New Mexico right now, and Mike McCall Jr. is going to be called for that foul. And as we've said so often, New Mexico gets to that free throw line. There's still 5 minutes to play. Anything can happen, especially with that clock stop.
McCall picks up his 4th.
Well, it was a cheap foul. It was a ticky-tack foul, a reach in, and you can't afford to have Mike McCall the way he's playing on the defensive end. You can't afford to have him sitting on the bench. Heard the big hand for Remican coming out of the game with 15 points and 7 of 9 from the field. Steve Alford ejected from the game with 2 technical fouls and has fired up his team with those technical fouls, because that could have been a big turnaround for either way, and it seems to help New Mexico a little bit.
Craig Neal, the acting head coach here in the second half for New Mexico. Steve Alford got back-to-back technicals with about 11 and a half to go in the game and sent to the locker room.
And at that point in time, it put New Mexico down by 21, as you see the blocking foul by Rob Lowe.
And that is number 5 on Lowe. He's done. And now both teams in the double bonus the rest of the way as Lowe checks out of the game. 7 points to go with 1 rebound and 1 assist. Four and a half remaining. St. Louis by 14. Williams left it short. Jordan Jet blocked as Snell got back for the swat.
There's no reason for New Mexico to shoot that long jump shot. As you see, it really was like a turnover because it started the fast break for St. Louis. They've been doing a great job getting penetration in the lane and getting to the free throw line. You know, you can't be looking to try to make those 14 points up with 1 shot, and that's exactly what Kendall Williams did.
Jet turned it over. Walker. And that's a foul, and Walker to the line. Home fans don't like that call.
Well, this is really not a good play, even though he's going to go to the free throw line. But you'll see, look ahead. Always throw that ball ahead. You got Williams on the left wing. You have the numbers, and instead of getting 2 with a possible and 1, now you have Walker going to the free throw line. But that is a play you have to get the ball ahead to the guy that's open.
Walker knocks down the first. St. Louis isn't out of the woods just yet. As McCall checks back in.
And you're right. The other thing you have to look at, too, is that when you get to the free throw line, you're playing against a team that can shoot it. I mean, New Mexico can knock down those free throws. And I think that, especially with the clock stop, it's so important.
75% for the season at the line for New Mexico. 11 of 16 tonight. It's a 13-point game. McCall. 1 and done for the Billikens.
Really no need to do that unless it's a wide open shot. Take some time off the clock, and they're going to get an offensive foul.
On Tony Snell.
That's a really good call because he gave him the forearm.
It's number 2 on Snell. Got foul issues on both sides. Key players. Lowe is already done for the Billikens. Snell offensive here. New Mexico down 13. Happy New Year from St. Louis. The Billikens have led by as many as 22 in the second half. It's a 13-point advantage right now with 3:43 to play. We recap with our AT&T game summary.
Yeah, you look at it when all the check marks are on the other side. You got an uphill battle, but, you know, with 3:43 to play, this is still a game. And I think that if you're New Mexico, you have to be smart, taking the ball to the basket and get more of those points in the paint. As you see, they have 16 now, but they only had 4 in that whole first half.
With 11:30 to play in the game, Steve Alford back-to-back technicals is ejected from the game. Remikin's got a career-high 15. Rob Lowe has fouled out with 7 for the Billikens. And here comes the full court pressure for the Lobos.
No reason to do anything but other than run some offense, take some time down, get that shot clock to about 12, and then start looking for a good shot.
Timeout, Jim Cruz. Good idea there. The interim head coach taking over for Rick Majerus, who passed away a month ago. Going into the season, it became apparent that he had some health issues that were worsening by the day, and so The reins were turned over to Cruz, and really a tough spot, I would think, for a guy to be in. But the way he's handled it, the way he spoke to us at shoot-around, maybe not so.
You know, he is, I got to talk with him a lot last year. He's just a very nice guy. And I'll tell you, yeah, we got some home cooking for St. Louis right now, but this is a guy that has a lot of basketball knowledge. He's been around. He did a wonderful job from Evansville. He went to Army, and that's really hard to do a very good job there. But he's got his team playing good defense. You saw that 48% field goal percentage defense. You know, the funny question today was I asked him how close he is with Steve Alford. He said, I'm closer with his wife, Tanya, because she went to IU for 2 years and transferred to Evansville and was his babysitter.
Interesting.
Yeah, he knew. Alford was in Bloomington, so she had nothing to do but take care of his kids. Right now, it's important. Now there's 10 seconds on the shot clock. It's important for St. Louis to at least get a decent shot at the basket.
Jet rifled it in for Remican. Saved it, but into the hands of Adams. 3 to play, 55-42. Williams wheels and kicks. Walker, Kirk. Pulled down by Mitchell. And a foul on Greenwood. Number 4 on Greenwood, and again, both teams in the double bonus.
It's a good defense, good ball movement by New Mexico. Kirk couldn't get the shot to go down. As you look at Craig Neal, just trying to pull this thing out of a fire. New Mexico was 16th in the country, and they lost to South Dakota State. They dropped out of the polls. Now they're back in for the first day today at 20, and they're very, very close to being dropped out again.
They don't play again until that UNLV conference opener on the 9th. Billikens will play again Friday, home here against Savannah State, part of that 9-game homestand. Billikens 8-1 here in Chaffetz Arena so far this year. A foul on the floor.
And that's McCall's 5th.
So he will join Lowe. The starters for the Billikens that have now fouled out.
McCall did a great job defensively on Williams. Williams is 5 for 11, with only 13 points. He earned every one of those points.
McCall finishes with a dozen and 2 assists. Williams connects on the first. We revisit the keys to the game, and there you go. St. Louis 32 in the paint.
That's not closing down the lane, is it?
No. You were right on, though. I mean, that's been the story of the game. Now Craig Neal, the acting head coach here for most of the second half. About 12 minutes of the second half. Alford got bounced with a couple of technicals. New Mexico, again, though, they're within 12, and they've kept this thing at least within shouting distance in the late moments.
But it's very hard to come back in the game, especially when St. Louis is in the double bonus. So it may be a little bit too little, too late. Doesn't get any easier for New Mexico.
UNLV home to open conference and home for Fresno State. Colorado State, it's an interesting matchup there. We mentioned that Larry Eustace is now taking over. Tim Miles moves on to Nebraska, and well, the Rams will have him here on CBS Sports Network Wednesday night, going for their 6th straight win.
It'll be interesting to see what Craig Neal does if he fouls or, try to play very good, solid defense. Once the ball's in, if they can't get the ball, if they get the ball over half court, you might want to foul. But you can't afford to let St. Louis ball control. They're going to foul early.
And again, everything is 2 free throws. So Walker commits that one. Out of Fontana, California, the redshirt junior.
Demetrius Walker is a story in and of itself. He's in the book, playing their hearts out. One of the highly recruited 7th and 8th graders. We just talked about AAU recruiting. Demetrius Walker was highly touted, went to Arizona State, transferred, really finding his way under Steve Alford. And I think Steve's done a really good job of tutoring him to understand that he's got to be a team player and play within himself. It was all about him when he was younger. But it's a good book. It's called Playing Your Hearts Out. Great book.
I haven't read it yet. I have to check that out. Officials getting together. I'm not sure what's in question. We'll find out. Both teams to their benches. St. Louis by a dozen. 2:38 to play. With a win, the Billikens will go to 10-3. And if New Mexico loses, it'll be 13-2 for the Lobos. This would be their first win away from home. This New Mexico team last year, 28-7, made the third round of the NCAA tournament. Won the conference in the regular season and in the tournament. They've won the regular season 3 of the last 4 years. Billikens, on their side, they're back on the map thanks to Rick Majerus and now Jim Cruz trying to take over the reins. And was it a lane violation that they're looking at here? Looking at the clock here, trying to get the clock correct. It says 2:38 currently, but as you see there, I think they're going to have to put a couple more seconds on.
Yeah. I think it's a 2:42. But you know, you were talking about Jim Cruz and Steve Alford. You know, Jim Cruz is in his twilight of his career. He is so much more relaxed. You got Steve Alford, who did a nice job at Iowa, but he's put up some great numbers in New Mexico, and it's a great environment there at the pit. Toughest place to play. It's for the '83 national championship game when Valvano was running around the court. That's New Mexico is a good job, but I think he'd like to make them relevant nationally, year in and year out.
56-44 here. And again, it will be 2:38. They got the clock sorted out. And Jordair Jett at the line. 2 free throws for Jett. Only a 54% foul shooter.
And that was out of that time, out of the timeout. They decided, New Mexico decided to go after Jett because of his lower free throw percentage. So that was called from the timeout, and Walker was able to get that foul. So the next time down, Jett may not get that inbounds pass, but they allowed him to get it last time.
The deficit is 13 for the Lobos. Williams can't finish. Kirk, no.
Kirk got away with a little bit of an elbow, pushing back Remican. Remican has done a great job and has kept this St. Louis team alive under the boards and in the post. No use play. What right now? I was going to say right now, you know, with 11 on the shot clock, you really didn't need to foul. You know, probably once it gets to 20, 23, you don't want to foul. Let the clock run down.
4th on Walker. He and Greenwood each with 4. Jett back to the line, connects on the first. This was Alford with about 11 and a half to play in the game. Wanted a timeout. They wouldn't give it to him, and then, quite frankly, he was ticked off about a lot of things at that point and took it out on the officials and got back-to-back tees.
He got his timeout. He got a couple timeouts. Yeah, I don't think Coach Alford was too bummed out about having to go to the locker room watching that first half.
Big block, emphatic by Remican. And that could just about do it. Although the Lobos get it here. Minute 39 to play. Walker fouled hard by Remican.
And this is an area of the game that, although it's a 14-point game with 1 minute and 37 seconds left, a guy like Jim Cruz is not going to be happy with what just happened. you know, especially your senior, fifth-year senior, Kwame Mitchell bringing the ball down court and throwing it away. You have to close out the games. As you look at this graphic of points allowed per game, that's just phenomenal.
43 per over the last 3. Only 55 given up per game for the entire season. It's number 1 in the A-10. They only gave up 13 for the Lobos in the first half, the worst half of for the Lobos in program history since 2005.
And the defense is the same scheme that Coach Majerus used. And you heard Jim Cruz saying, I'm not going to change anything. These guys know the system. They've been in it for 4 or 5 years. They know it better than I do. And they are playing really good defense. That's a walk.
Travel by Ellis. 58-46. If they could knock in a quick 3 here, get it down to single digits.
This is what, as a coach, you manage the whole game. And Jim Cruz is frustrated a little bit because St. Louis is not handling having the lead very well. They need to finish out the game.
Walker. Williams lost it. St. Louis hasn't hit a field goal since the 6:23 mark. That's 5 minutes. But they still lead by 12. And a foul on Williams. Up next for the Billikens, right back here at home Friday night against Savannah State. And then they open up the Atlantic 10 schedule on the 10th of January.
I'm doing that game. Derek Kellogg's team. Tell you what, they want to go back to postseason play. This year they'd like to make it the NCAA tournament. Did a great job in NIT last year. They got a kid, big kid, Putney, who real thin his freshman year, sat out. Second year playing better and better. About 6'9". Can play inside, can play outside. They have a very good team. They have one of the best guards in the country, Chaz Williams.
Well, this Atlantic 10 is going to be unbelievable this season. We've got many of the games here on CBS Sports Network, and the Billikens could be a factor. The way they played tonight, this will be win number 10, and the crowd certainly has enjoyed this one on New Year's Eve 2012.
Yeah, this is a feather in Jim Cruz's cap. He's not a guy that really likes the limelight. He gives everything back to his players, but I'll tell you, this is a big signature win this year for them, and come March, it's going to look really nice on their resume.
It'll be a 7-game winning streak, and the Billikens will go to 9-1 at home, 10-3 on the season. Jim Cruz, Craig Neal,